Hello folks, I'm Alex, this is Alex Unabridged, and this is what I've got in store for 2024. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, 2023 is almost over. So it's time to look ahead into next year and just to chat to you a little bit about my reading plans for next year, and then also a few tweaks to my channel plans as well. So reading plans then. The first thing to note is just a little note on quantity. I've been overly ambitious in 2023 with my TBRs and my piles of possibilities. I think most months I haven't got through them. And then I put pressure on myself to get through them. Not necessarily because I've mentioned them and I want to, talk about them on BookTube, but just because if it's on a list, then I kind of want to read it. If I've made the list, that's on me. I end up kind of trying to cram too much stuff in. So I'm going to just pull that back a little bit, should we say. And I've come up with a plan that's a little bit more manageable, hopefully, for how many books I plan to read each month. Because I want to avoid burnout. That's my main thing, is I've not had any slumps this year yet, and no burnout. But if I keep going the way that I have been going in terms of how I approach planning my reading, I'm gonna hit burnout, and I don't really want to do that. I'm gonna hit a big burnout. I'm always gonna get little slumps, but I'm talking about a proper burnout where actually I don't want to read for ages, and I want to avoid that. I've read 112 books, 113 books I think this year, and I've not finished yet. That's crazy for me. That's like in my 30 years, essentially 25-30 years of reading, that number's probably about a quarter of what I've read in my lifetime, in my reading lifetime, which is mental for me. And I love it, don't get me wrong, I have no regrets on that, and I've loved every second of it. But if I keep going at that rate, I am going to burn out. So I've as I say, I've kind of tried to make it a little bit more manageable, in that I've planned for 8 books every month, which will make 96 for next year, which gives me some wiggle room, knowing that I have read more than that, and I will have read more than that, but it makes it a bit more achievable in terms of how I approach my kind of monthly planning, essentially. So it'll be 8 books plus a comic, which, that's a very, very quick read. By a comic, I mean like a trade paperback generally. So yeah, let's see how I go with that, and whether that makes a bit of a difference to just me not feeling quite so overfaced each month. So what then am I going to be reading? Okay, well, horror, obviously. That's not going anywhere. In fact, I aim to read more horror. I haven't really, until this year, been exposed, should we say, to some of the contemporary horror authors. And what I have read this year and what I've heard other people talk about, has been great and fascinating. And the stuff that I've read generally, I've really enjoyed, and there's so much out there that I still want to read. So horror, and particularly contemporary horror, will remain, a big part of the channel. Likewise, I've found a lot of LGBTQ plus authors and books that I love. I think it's absolutely fantastic that there's so many great authors out there across so many different genres. And so I will continue to kind of make sure that I'm reading plenty of LGBTQ authors. I won't necessarily make kind of a focus of just that. Maybe in Pride Month, yes. I will always just want to make sure that I've got, LGBTQ authors peppered throughout my reading, if you like. 2023 was kind of the year of try everything. Read everything, try everything. which was what my kind of Adventures in Genre series was obviously kind of designed to do. And it's worked really well. I've enjoyed pretty much everything that I've read. Some stuff more than others, obviously. But I've not had any months where I've been like, oh, I hate this genre. Which is good. And I want to I want to dip in and out of some of those genres that I've particularly enjoyed as I go through the year. So I want to dip back into mystery and crime, for instance. I want to certainly want to explore some more magic realism. I want to experience and try and get my head around some more classics. And there's always room for the odd bit of spicy queer romance as well. Although that will probably pop up more in kind of my trashy reading. The one genre that really hooked me, certainly the back end of this year, but it had already started to get its kind of claws in over the few bits and pieces I'd read over the years, is science fiction. The back end of this year, when I did the science fiction September for my Adventures in Genre, I found that I was really, really intrigued by it, and the majority of what I read I really enjoyed. But I'm still quite daunted by it. It's a huge genre with loads of subgenres and so many different types of science fiction. And I want to explore that more. So along with horror, science fiction will be kind of, those are the two genres you're going to see the most of this year from me. They are kind of going to be the focus, if you like, for a lot of my reading in 2024. So this is what my monthly TBRs are roughly going to look like. I've got 3 projects that I want to do. So I found that, like, basically structure is my friend to a great extent, which I wouldn't have said last year, this time last year. I'm very much a bounce around kind of person. But when I want to fit a lot of stuff in and I want to get things done, I kind of need a plan. I need a structure. So I've got some projects to give me some of that structure. So the first one then is about trying to address the fact that I haven't read any big books in the last year or so. Certainly in the last year. Because I've been trying to like fit all this stuff in on my TBRs and being overly ambitious, I've left all of the big chonkers to the side because, you know, at 800 to 900 pages plus, I don't feel like I can fit a load of other stuff in that month if I pick one of those up. And also, some of them are quite daunting to me. Some of the ones that I've got on my list are, you know, I'm a little bit scared of, not just because of their length, but because of potentially they're quite dense, quite complex. So I'm going to read one over a 3-month period. And so this project will be called The Quarterly Chunk. I will have a video explaining a bit more about this and about the books that are on the list, etc. Out on Friday. And you are going to get to help me pick as well, because I don't really know which one to pick first. So I'm going to put it to a vote. When I do the intro video for it on Friday, there will also be a poll that will go up, and you'll be able to vote on one of 3 books for me to try first, basically. So I'll go through all of the details of this in Friday's video anyway. Next up is the big science fiction project. This is a biggie. This is a 2-year project at present. Covering 2 books a month, so that's 24 books a year, that will cover some absolute classics of the genre, some of the big names, lots of different sorts of science fiction. It's kind of it's a big old project. It's a big old project, and I will have a separate video out for that on Sunday, because that's going to take just a little bit more time to go through. So I'll be going through the structure of it, the schedule, etc., what books you'll see for next year. So yeah, so tune in on Sunday for all of the details on that one. Then the final project is one that I'm calling My Month With ... And this will be 2 books a month as well, but they're both by the same author, and that's an author that I have discovered in the last year or so that I maybe only read one thing by, maybe one novel and one maybe one short, or in some cases just one short thing that I've really liked, and I'm like, I need to read some more by this person to find out if I like them or whether that was just an anomaly, basically. I will pop the authors that I've picked up on screen in terms of just the headshots, just to give you a taste, see if you can recognise all of those. And I will be going through them and why I've picked them and what I'll be reading from them in a video a week today, so next Tuesday. So if you're interested in any of that, then do tune in for those. So those are the projects. So that's 2 for each of the science fiction and the author one, and then a third for the quarterly chunk each month. Okay, in addition to that then, I've got essentially 4 more books and a comic to fit in. So how am I going to do that? This will apply, by the way, these next 4 books and a comic will apply if there isn't an event on. If there's an event on, I will leave these off and the event stuff will take precedent. But when I haven't got an event on, this is what the TBR will look like. The first one is going to be a book randomly selected from my collection of trash. I have been utterly corrupted by Criminale this year, and I love trash now. Absolutely love it. And I want to get some into my monthly reading. I don't want it to just all be saved up for Garb August. I want to get a bit into my monthly reading. So I have written down the names of all of the books that I own at the moment. Once we're past the Read What You Own challenge, I will start adding other stuff into these, by the way. But for the moment, this is all going to be out of my collection while I complete the challenge. But I've written books down on bits of paper and popped them in my bin. And I will be selecting one each month out of the bin. I will be digging through the trash to find some nice horror, probably mostly horror, to read. But there may be some spicy stuff in there, and there may be some adventure stuff in there, things like that. So that will be the first one. So that's one more book. Then the Wheel of Choice will be deciding a book for me, and this will be randomly selected from my collection of non-trashy books. I will pop the wheel up on screen. There's about 75 books that have gone onto the wheel, and I will be spinning that to get a random selection. And there's loads of stuff in there. There's loads of random genre stuff in there. There's some non-fiction in there even. So that could be absolutely anything that pops out of the wheel. Then finally, I've got 2 more books to pick from, which will be dealer's choice. Those will be my picks that I can pick from my collection. As I say, for the moment, things I own, whilst I'm doing the Read What You Own challenge. Those will be ones where I will generally go for stuff that's on my top 10 books I most want to read for the Read What You Own challenge, both digital and audio and physical. So that's going to be that. I'm going to use that to try and get through as many of my top 10 books as possible. And then comics, again, that's out of my collection at the moment, 1 comic per month, which will just be a nice one where I've kind of got an evening where I don't feel like really getting into a big old book or reading text or what have you. I can read a comic instead. So there you go. That's the 8 and a third books, if you count the chunk, plus a comic each month. That's what my TBRs are going to look like for a bit, and we'll see how that works. Okie dokes. So that's my reading taken care of. Quickly go through the channel kind of changes, not that there are that many. So I'm going to try and keep to the 2 videos a week like I've been doing most of the year. I've not missed too many of those, so it seems to be working. So that'll be a Friday and a Sunday at 5 PM UK time. I will also do a Tuesday video if I get tagged in a tag video, or if I just fancy adding in another one and I've got the time. I would like to get up to 3 videos a week, but I'm not gonna make a commitment on that right now because it's sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. So in terms of video content, the sorts of videos, obviously TBRs, they'll come like at the end of the month, and wrap-ups will come obviously at the beginning of the month. And I think I'll probably end up doing separate wrap-ups for the author projects and for the sci-fi projects as well. I also want to try and do some more kind of individual kind of book reviews. sort of my thoughts on my more in-depth thoughts on one particular book. If it's something that I think is worth devoting an entire video to, if there's something that's really captured me and something that I want to ramble on a bit about, then I'll do an entire video for it. I've got loads of ideas for discussions, for kind of, just chats about things surrounding books and reading and stuff like that, topics like that I've had written down for ages and I've not had a chance to do them yet, so I want to get those done. Tags, of course, when I'm tagged, I'll keep doing tags. I enjoy a good tag. And the other thing is writing vlogs. I've had, when I started the channel, as you'll see in the introduction kind of, bit, the intro, I've got, reading, listening, writing and making. And I've not said much about writing and making. It's kind of gone in as a kind of an afterthought, really, because it's been kind of quite sporadic when I've been able to do it. But I am about to get kicked out of this lovely room that I'm in right now, my studio, because we have a leaky roof. And the whole roof needs replacing. Which will be happening. We thought it would be happening before Christmas, but now it's happening first thing in January. So I'm about to be ousted from my studio, which means I'm not going to be able to do any artwork, or very little artwork at least, for probably a while, because once the roof's done on the outside, we need to get all of the stuff done on the inside. So I think it's probably going to be March before I can get back, end of March potentially, before I can get back in here. So I'm going to have to find something else creative to do with my time, and so writing is what I'm going to be doing predominantly for the first 2 to 3 months of the year. I'm going to hopefully try and make a big dent in all the stuff I've got stacked up, half written or half started, things like that. I want to finish a couple of short stories that are getting really close to being done. And I want to make some proper progress on a novel that I've been writing. So I think I'll do some little writing vlogs, things like that. Maybe one a month, I think, is probably enough. And we'll see how that goes. And the same with making. If I make stuff, then I will do a little video just to, kind of show what I've been doing if it's book related. So those are the sort of things that you're going to see from me. It's much of this, more of the same, with adding in a bit more of the writing and some more kind of actual book reviews. I'm hesitant to say book reviews because I don't sort of see myself as a book reviewer, but I am going to try and make them a bit more kind of reviewy, if you like. They're still being formal because it's me, but yeah, I want to just kind of, I want to talk a bit more potentially about some individual books. Speaking of which, I'm changing the rating system. That's the other thing that I will be changing next year. I'm going to move to an out of 10 rating. 5 is 5-star ratings. I just feel a bit too limiting for me. I give out way too many 5-star ratings. And I just kind of end up kind of going, oh, what does it feel like? Does it feel like a 3 or 4 or 5, etc.? And if I'm going to want to start doing some more kind of reviews, so thinking about things a bit more in depth, I also need a new system that will allow me to kind of do that. I have come up with something, which I'll speak about this more in January, and go through the system and stuff, because it's a little more complicated. But it does mean that essentially I will be scoring books on a number of categories of things like character, plot, setting, that kind of thing, in terms of their execution of that, and then coming up with like an aggregate score, basically. Which the point of this for me, this is to encourage me to think a little bit more critically about the writing. Especially if I'm doing more writing myself, it's important that I kind of figure out, what I think is good, when I think something works, what succeeds, what doesn't succeed. And just to think around things a bit more, think about, as I say, think about things a little bit more, in a little bit more of a structured way, and just a bit more critically, as I say. So as I say, I'll go through the rating system that I'll be using in January. but it'll be an out of 10 now, and I'll convert for the sake of putting stuff on Storygraph, Goodreads, things like that. I'll convert back down to a 5-star. So I think that's pretty much all of the big stuff. The only other thing really that I will put out there is a call for buddy reads, if you like. Certainly once I've gone through the project content, if you like, you know, what I'm going to be reading for my projects. If there's anything you see on there that you think, oh yeah, I'd like to buddy read that, then do feel free to get in touch, whether it's in the comments or via email or what have you, because I'm definitely up for some buddy reads next year. The community of BookTube has been one of, if not the best thing about, you know, being here this last year. I've absolutely loved it, and I'm always up for increasing that level of engagement, that level of interaction with people, and it'd be lovely to read some stuff with someone else and discuss. So if you fancy a buddy read on anything you see on my TBRs, on my schedules, etc., just get in touch and we'll figure something out. So I think that's it from me for now. Do tune in for any of the project introduction videos coming over the next week, if any of those sound interesting to you. And my first TBR for 2024 will follow those a week on Friday. And then we're into the Christmas period, and it'll be top 10s and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Top 10 books of the year and retrospectives and all that kind of stuff coming for me until we get into 2024. So thank you very much for watching, folks. As always, do drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, do consider giving me a like and subscribing for more content coming very soon. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.